Oh, have we got a nanny state story for you today? It comes from, not surprisingly, New York, whose mayor is actually a nurse. Michael Bloomberg, and joining us now from New York City is Glenn Richter, who is a congregant at a synagogue called Ohav Tzedek, which means lovers of righteousness. Now, Mr. Richter, welcome to the show. One of the things you do in your love for righteousness is after, the feasts at your synagogue, after the Saturday morning snacks and lunches, you and your wife Lenore take the leftovers to a local homeless shelter. Now, that's food that's good enough for you, and the homeless shelter, I suppose, loves it because they've been taking it from you for years. But now the city hall is saying you can't do that anymore. What gives?
Okay, it's actually a halfway house for seniors who had been homeless and who've gotten themselves off drugs and alcohol and are recovering. And for the past 25 years or so, my wife and I have been bringing this kind of food from the synagogue and a school at which my wife is a volunteer to homeless shelters, and in the last dozen or so years to this particular halfway house. And the people loved it. It was great food. We enjoyed it at the synagogue and at the school. And all of a sudden in March, when a friend and I, one Saturday evening after the Sabbath, brought a particularly large haul to this particular halfway house, we were told, sorry, the city has changed its rules and we can no longer bring this kind of food.
Now, who told you that? Like, who shocked on earth? Like, if the people who live at this halfway house love it, and listen, I like Jewish food too. I like the deli food. You can see, you don't get this physique by saying no to Jewish food. I love it. You obviously love it, although you managed to keep the pounds off. Who the hell was it who told you no? Obviously, it wasn't someone who wanted to eat it. Was it a city bureaucrat? Was it a halfway house person? Who said no?
Well, it ends up that after the staff told us that we could no longer deliver this, I sat down a couple of days later with the director of the halfway house, and obviously she was saddened by this because this was an opportunity for us to bring very delicious food and for an opportunity, frankly, also for people in this halfway house to interact with normal society and for us in the neighborhood to interact with people with whom we probably wouldn't be interacting at all. So she said to us that the 250 or so institutions under the New York City Department of Homeless had been told to enforce the rule that no outside food could go, and they were given strict orders exactly what kind of food to use, exactly what kind of food to feed the folks over there. She said to me even that she was told that the dry cereal that they were feeding wasn't good enough, it didn't contain enough roughage.
Oh my! So it's crazy. Now, tell me exactly why they suspected you of bringing in food that wasn't up to stuff. I mean, you've eaten the food yourself. You have a 10-year, 15, 20-year relationship here. Like, you're not trying to poison people. This is food so good you just finished eating it. What was the rationale? You said they don't like cereal because there's not enough roughage. What did they say was wrong with the deli-style food, the Jewish-style food you were bringing to this halfway house?
Well, it certainly wasn't just deli-style food. It was healthy salads, breads. Yes, there was obviously some sugary stuff as well, and of course some deli stuff. But this is a city policy, and the city policy was a blanket policy, apparently. No outside food coming into any one of these institutions.
But why? What was their explanation? What was their rationale? Was it because they couldn't test it for salt and trans fats? Is that what?
The mayor actually at a news conference a couple of days later was asked a question by one of the reporters, and he said, yes, it's too fatty, it's too salty, and sorry, folks shouldn't have it.
So he is saying that he would rather have no food from volunteers than have food that doesn't meet his taste of fat and salt. Listen, I mean, you've been eating that food your whole life, obviously, and you seem in fine health. I mean, is there any medical basis for him saying no to this, or is this just pure politics?
I'm not here to indicate whether it's political or not. All I can say is that my wife and I have worked for, we're both retired now. My wife worked for 35 years. I worked for 20 years for New York City. We both understand regulations, bureaucracy, ensnaring bureaucracy, but this goes far, far beyond anything we had ever encountered ourselves in our own professional work. And it's impossible to say who makes that determination. The mayor obviously didn't write the regulations. The mayor, however, defended the regulations to the hilt.
Now, I want to ask you a question. I'm not trying to get in trouble. We only air in Canada. This will not be shown in New York City. Do you ever sneak some food in? Do you ever go up back and maybe have a signal, a whistle or something?
I'm not going to say this on the air. The mayor's helicopter may be hovering overhead with infrared cameras.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
But the fact of the matter is that there are possibilities.
Yeah. Listen, Mr. Richter, I think you're doing God's work and you're doing the work of man, which is to help our fellow citizens who are in need. And I wish you good luck. And I'm appalled by this nanny state, and you're the hero in the story, and I thank you and your wife for doing what you did. Thanks for telling us the story.
Well, thank you.